to oblige medical professionals to admit when they had made a mistake. And he actually was quite critical of those professionals for failing, or those who had failed to adhere to a duty of candour. Now, this would be very significant legislation given the history of symphysiotomy, the anti-D blood scandal, the victims of Michael Neary and others. So when do you envisage this legislation being published, and will it include private as well as public hospitals? And then to conclude, Ceann Comhairle, I've just been looking at the legislative programme, and in the programme for government, Labour and Fine Gael promised to reform the way the Dáil worked and to make it fit for purpose and to legislate more effectively. But there does appear to be a logjam in the processing of legislation through the Department of Justice. Yesterday, you will recall, I raised with you the Assisted Decision-Making Bill, which is a crucially important piece of legislation to protect citizens with mental disabilities. It was published in July 2013 and is yet to be discussed at committee stage. There's also the Legal Services Regulation Bill, which was published in October 2011. It was last seen in July of last year, and its report and final stage have not been completed. The Spent Convictions Bill was published in May 2012 and was last seen in November 2013. The Mediation Bill, the general draft of this, was published in 2012. It was listed for publication in late 2013, and the former Minister at that time, Minister Shatter, stated that the bill would be published in 2014, and we're still waiting for it. The Criminal Justice Mutual Assistance Amendment Bill was published in August 2014. It again was last seen in November. There's a sort of a Bermuda Triangle. It's yet to pass through the committee stage in the Seanad. So is this not evidence of the government failing to manage its own legislative programme efficiently? And Taoiseach, can you give us some indication, do you realistically expect these bills to pass through all stages and become law before the general election?
Well, on the contrary, what you've just read out shows you just how serious the government are about introducing a raft of very necessary legislation. Many of these things are quite complex, as Deputy Adams will agree. The Mediation Bill is later this year. The Spent Convictions Bill is waiting for report stage. The Legal Services Bill is awaiting report stage. The question of the health bill that you mentioned in respect of the Minister for Health, he's just formulating the proposition, and I don't have a date for that, nor could I, because we have to wait and see the draft heads that the Minister will bring in that regard. So, contrary to what you say, there is actually an unprecedented amount of work going on in regard to a whole range of areas, many of which were left untouched for years because governments refused to go near them. So we can only do so much. There's a finite number of people in the drafting section dealing with the parliamentary offices and the Attorney General. But believe me, Deputy Adams, they're working exceptionally hard on a range of very complex issues. And those bills that are awaiting report stage and committee stage here, where amendments are being considered, they have to work their way through the system. We try to do it as expeditiously as possible.
General election.
Which one?
Any of them.
Of course.
All of them.
I can't say all of them, but some of them are listed for this session. Others are awaiting report stage. Others are having amendments worked on them. There is no restriction or no intention of delaying any of these things. It's how you get them to do the thing properly, Deputy Adams.
Deputy Kelleher.